Hi, I'm Darrell. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Ipsos Public Affairs, arguably the largest polling organization in the world. So we know a little bit about the topic that we're going to be talking about today, which is polling for journalists. What you need to know about those polls that are increasingly crossing your desk. Today, if you're a journalist, you're working on a 24-hour news cycle, you're inundated by information that's coming in. You have to make fast decisions about what's going to be making it into your news broadcast that night or what's going to be making it into your newspaper. And when it comes to polls, sometimes it's pretty hard to tell what's good and what's not. Increasing number of methodologies from people that you may know, people that you may not know. There's some basic questions that you should be asking, and that's what we're going to be talking about in this series. Very basic, no BS, bottom line questions that a journalist should be asking about any poll that comes in, because you know what? You have a right to know. This clip's meant especially for journalists, especially journalists who get those free polls over their desks, and there's more and more of them these days. The first thing you need to know is there's no such thing as a free poll. A poll costs money to do. A good poll can cost a lot of money to do. Who paid for it? Why do they want to get a specific message or a specific finding into the public domain? Is it an advocacy group? Is it a politician? Is it a corporation? What's driving that polling? Something that you're going to want to know. A question that any ethical polling company should be able to easily answer for you. You should probably ask it. The next thing is that polling companies sometimes put their own polls into the public domain. And why do they do that? Well, part of it at Ipsos is because we do believe it is a public service. We like to make sure that the public information that we can gather through polls is made available to the people who are giving it to us. So we put out polls on a very regular basis because we want to keep the public informed about public opinion. But also we're interested in building our brand. We have our own reasons for doing this because when something gets into the media, it automatically endorses it from our perspective, and we can go back and tell our clients, well, if it's good enough for these guys, it should be good enough for you guys. It's also really good for building brand awareness. Even though we're giving it to you for free, you should be asking some tough questions. And the biggest question you should be asking is when you get a poll that seems to be counterintuitive or something that goes in another direction from a whole series of other polls. If it does, usually the way it's treated in the media these days is that's a headline. It's something that's starting a new trend potentially. In my experience, new trends start very slowly. They don't happen automatically unless there's a seismic change in something that's been happening publicly or socially. Anything that goes in another direction is usually the proverbial rogue poll or something that probably has a methodological flaw in it. And you should really be kicking the tires rather than putting it up as something that represents a new trend and a headline for your media outlet. All of these are important questions that you should be asking any polling company, even if they're giving you a free poll, because you know what? You have a right to know.